Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss Married to Medicine, Season 8, Episode 8. I will say that this episode was a big improvement from the last two episodes, but anyhow, I digress. Let's just jump right on into this review because I'm not going to keep you long and we don't have a minute to spare. So we start the episode right back off where we left it, where Toya, Lisa Nicole, Carrie, and Anila are getting their makeup done, and Carrie is relaying the message about how Contessa and Heavenly said that they want her on their team because she's intelligent and implied that the other women are not. So Carrie goes on to say that they think that they're better than us because they're MDs while we have our MRS degrees. And it's like, let me just say this. Nobody could ever make me feel bad about being a stay-at-home wife or mother living in the lap of luxury. Like, you could never shade me on that. So even if the other ladies are looking down on them, who cares? Like, what does their opinion really mean? I find Toya and Carrie and Anila, Lisa Nicole, to be very immature, because if you're happy with your life, then it doesn't really matter what little snide remarks the other ladies have to say. Like, I just could not find myself caring about somebody shading me because I don't work. I think most people crave having a cushy, relaxing life of leisure. There's nothing wrong with that. And I really get aggravated watching them squabble over that. It's like a point of contention for all of them. It's just so aggravating to watch. But I just found Carrie to be reveling in the fact that she's bringing back some bad news. Like, you could tell that she was salivating and chomping at the bit to relay this message to them because she knows that it's about to get the whole group fired up. It's like, that wasn't any major shade that you had to go back and relay to the other ladies. Carrie and Lisa Nicole's addition back on this show is really unneeded. I'm really tired of seeing Carrie's long face on my screen every single minute and Lisa Nicole's narrow behind. Like, I'm so sick of that sorry, silly duo. It's just so annoying. Like, I'm just so tired of seeing old cast members being recycled on these shows. Can we please get some new faces? Like, I don't understand why it's so hard for us to get some new cast members on these shows, especially on the Atlanta-based shows. Like, RHOA seems to be struggling, can't find any other new faces for their cast. Married to Medicine, we're still seeing the same old ladies, and it's annoying. But enough about all that. Let's just get back into this recap, okay? Toya is annoyed. Anila is annoyed as well. And she's like, who says things like that? It's like, Anila, girl, shut up, please. And Toya goes on to say in her confessional that her relationships with Contessa and Heavenly is like a bad roller coaster. They just can't seem to get right, and she's over it. So now we see the doctors on their way back to the house, and Jackie is joking about how she wants to call up her soarer, which is Kamala Harris, and call her up for dinner. And all of them are laughing like, no, girl, like, sorry, sis, like, I'm not going to be able to make it. So they're just joking around. They finally get back to the house, and we see Carrie going on to tell the husbands, Eugene and Kieran, that Heavenly and Contessa made a snide remark insulting their intelligence. Again, this comment is not that deep where you need to be running around telling the whole house what was said. Like, Carrie is just so annoying. I really cannot stand her. Toya lets us know that she has a lot of friends in the DC area who are also doctors, and they're going to be coming over to the house for a little pool party. Jackie has friends coming over. They arrive first. I think one of their names was Dr. Nia and Dr. Alicia. One was a plastic surgeon and the other is a dentist. And then Toya's friend, Dr. Yale, arrives and she's pregnant and she is an anesthesiologist. So everybody's talking and laughing and Toya is taking some drink orders from the other ladies who have arrived. And so I think it was Dr. Alicia who had very particular taste. Like she doesn't like dry wine. She only likes sweet wine like Moscato and sweet drinks like mojitos. So Toya's like, okay, like cool, I'm gonna see what we have in the kitchen and I'll get back to you on that. I was laughing like, you're a grown woman. She looked like she was in her 40s and she's sitting up here and only drinks Moscato. No shade to Moscato. Moscato is a cute girl, but I'm like, you need to extend your palate when it comes to wine. Everything can't be so sweet. I don't know what it is, but ever since I turned 30, I am in love with red wine. Like, I can't get enough of red wine. And I used to really love like sweet wines as well, but I don't know what it is. It's just like, I just love red wine. I love the taste. I love how it makes me feel. Like, I just feel like when you turn 30, like you really blossom into your womanhood, you know? And I'm really like, But enough about me, child. And then Heavenly joins the rest of the ladies by the pool. So Heavenly is nice at first, and we all know how Heavenly gets around new women. Like she just has very weird energy. She's not welcoming, but she actually did try this go round. So Dr. Alicia makes a joke about how she's hungry, how nobody's fed her. And she's like, you know, can a girl get an hors d'oeuvre or something? And while she was joking, I sort of cringed because I was like, yes, they should have some food and hors d'oeuvres for you, but as a guest, you're not supposed to be pushy and ask like that. Like, I was a little bit turned off. I was like, girl, where are your manners? And it's a sad day when I am sort of siding with Heavenly because Heavenly was like, bitch, like, who are you?
If you know you're not fab, stop coming out like, bitch, like you that girl. You not fab like that to be doing all of that.
Like you coming in our house talking about where's the food at? Like my mama always said, don't come to someone's house on an empty stomach. So now we see Dr. Eugene's mom and brother arrive. So then Toya lets us know that her and her mother-in-law used to be really tight and really close, but over the years things have changed. And Eugene lets it be known that his mom is not used to such a dominant woman who has so much mouth because he grew up in a household where the man ruled everything and the women were just quiet, you know, meaning his mom was quiet. So Toya's like, you got that right. Like, nobody controls me. Like, I'm gonna do what I want. You could definitely feel the vibes off Rip that her mom-in-law is not really feeling her and is probably like, Eugene, yeah, I don't really care for her, but she seems nice for the most part. She just seems very no nonsense. So all of the ladies are talking and laughing. Toya's mother-in-law is sitting by them. And child, of course, the conversation turns. All hell breaks loose. It turns into a screaming match between Toya and Contessa. Contessa makes a remark about how she's too self-centered and how she can't always think that somebody is doing something to her, and if somebody doesn't like her, then it is what it is. That's on them, not on her. And she's pretty much throwing out some subs about Toya. Toya's like, okay, girl, she's making faces. So they start screaming and yelling at each other. The whole thing about the intelligence comment gets brought up, and now it's just pure mayhem. Dr. Jackie has secondhand embarrassment because it's like, y'all are really showing y'all's asses in front of company. Like, who does this? Toya's mother-in-law is like, shout out to everybody. I had fun.
Oh! Shout out to everybody. I had fun. I gotta be good.
And walks away and sits with the men. She's like, I don't do all this craziness, all this screaming, all this nonsense. Like, I'm gonna sit right here with my wine. And she is just not feeling it at all. I was cracking up because she was just so funny. Like, she was like, no, no thanks. So they're just screaming at each other. Heavenly jumps in. Now her and Toya are at it. And Toya starts screaming. She's calling Damon's name to get Heavenly under control. Damon is like, look, my name is Bennett. I ain't in it. Stop calling me about all this. So finally, the party gets somewhat back on track and they start bringing the food out. Eugene made some spicy shrimp, I think, and some chicken, and that food looks so good. Now we get to the next scene. It is the day of the march, and we see the doctors getting up at the crack of dawn to head out. And then later on, we see the wives getting ready. They're all excited, and they roll out to join everyone else at the march. And I have to say, it was really touching to see how excited they were to be there and help out. I loved Dr. Damon's energy. He was so excited, and you could tell that he was just so happy to make a difference. And I get the impression that he has a fabulous bedside manner when he's treating patients in the hospital. So now the wives and Cecil and Curtis arrive as well, and we see Toya and Heavenly talking briefly. Heavenly starts getting emotional, really choked up, and she keeps saying how she doesn't want to fight with Toya, and she's really touched that they're all here helping out. Toya's like, I receive what Heavenly is saying, but I know that in an hour she's gonna go right back to her hellish ways. And we know how Heavenly gets, but like I always say, I think that Toya and Heavenly are two sides of the same coin because Toya has a very similar personality as well. You think that she's cool and then she's down your throat about something else. So it's just really funny how those two just can't seem to get right. But I digress. We see the doctors helping everyone, getting people tested. And it was just a really touching scene. It was nice to see them all in their element. It was nice to have a scene where nobody was fighting or arguing about stupidity. So they go and listen to all the speeches. We see a lot of influential people speaking. Martin Luther King III is speaking. The sister of George Floyd speaks. And then we see Reverend Al Sharpton closing it out. And everybody's really touched by his words. And they're just really happy to be there. So now we get to the last scenes of the night. Everybody gets back to the house and they're all getting ready for dinner. The ladies are all doing a dinner and the guys are going to stay at the house and just drink, eat, have some fun and talk about the ladies. So all of the ladies get on the Sprinter and they're waiting for Lisa, Nicole, and Carrie. Lisa, Nicole, and Carrie are still getting their makeup done, and all the other ladies are like, okay, you know what? Let's just leave, head out to the restaurant. They can take an Uber and join us when they get there because we're not waiting. So they speed off and leave. Lisa, Nicole, and Carrie are finally ready, and they're like, wait, they left us? Like, are you serious? I will say it again and again and again. I cannot stand people who are late. And I mean chronically late. Like, can't be on time for anything. Always have to be a few minutes late. It's just ridiculous. And sometimes you need to be shown the consequences of your actions. You're late, sis. Take an Uber and meet us there, period. The world is not always going to wait for you. Get over it. Y'all have money. A cute little $15, $20 Uber ride is not going to kill you. And you guys are staying in Bethesda, so you're not far at all. So give me a break. While the ladies are on the Sprinter headed to the restaurant, Anila makes a very weird remark about how the makeup artist and the hairstylist want their money up front. And Toya's like, wait, you mean you haven't paid them for getting your makeup and hair done? And she's like, I'm gonna pay them. I'm gonna pay them. Like, look, we have a house to build. If you know me, then you know I hate a cheap person. I really hate people who they have no problem spending on themselves, but when it comes to paying people for their services, they don't want to pay. I cannot stand that. I said this a few recaps ago. Anila and Kieran are having some sort of financial difficulty. Them building that house and being over $1 million over budget, I think that is really wreaking havoc on their finances. Something in the milk ain't clean, because there's no way you should be having some issues paying the makeup artist and the hairstylist whatever their fee is. That's a real pet peeve of mine, especially when you have the money. But like I said before, I think that Anila and Kieran are having some money problems, so she's trying to cut corners any way she can, and it's pathetic. I just don't like Anila. I think that she's boring. She adds nothing. She gives a very desperate wannabe energy, like she's way too thirsty to be on this show. I'm just not feeling her whatsoever. She does not have to come back for season 9. Do not like her. And her not paying the makeup and hair people, that really solidified it for me, okay? It's curtains. Miss Anila, pay those people. You should really feel ashamed of yourself trying to stiff some folks who did you a service. Oh my God, I just really get so annoyed when I hear stuff like that. But again, moving on. So they finally arrive to the restaurant, and then we see Carrie and Lisa Nicole trail in a few minutes later. Carrie says, we're late because we were making sure that Daddy and the rest of the guys weren't getting strippers and having a crazy night. We wanted to make sure that they were behaving. So Heavenly goes, Carrie, don't call my man Daddy. Like, nobody can call him Daddy except me. So Carrie says, well, I'm sorry. We were making sure that Dr. Damon Daddy was behaving. Everybody is falling out laughing, and they're like, sis, Miss Carrie Wells is not afraid of you at all. And even Heavenly was taken aback because she was not expecting Carrie to be so quick with her answers. I don't like Carrie, but I will give her half a point for that one because I was cracking up. I was like, ooh, she did get her. Like, she did get her. I want Heavenly to stop thinking that everybody wants her man. Okay, so please stop with all this. Stop calling my man Daddy. Only I call my man Daddy. It's like, girl, stop. Please. It really reeks of, I ain't never had a man before, and I'm just so happy that I got one, child. Like, that's what it gives me every time she calls him Daddy, like, even in casual conversation. Like, you can't save the daddy for the bedroom. Like, it has to be Daddy when y'all are just walking down the street, picking up some groceries. Like, it's enough already. So the episode ends there, and we see next week's episode, the Potomac girls are going to be in attendance and joining them at dinner. So y'all, that was the episode. I hope you all enjoyed this recap. And as always, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.